His Excellency Anthony Thomas Aquinas Carmona, ORTT SC, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and hubby, the Honorable Mr. Justice Alan Mendonca, Acting Chief Justice of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Mrs. Mendonca, the Honorable Terence Dayal Singh, Minister of Health and Member of Parliament for St. Joseph, Mr. Richard Blewett, United Nations Resident Coordinator and United Nations Development Program Representative, Mr. Justice Michael Delabastide, former Chief Justice of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, specially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everyone. In 2007, the United Nations proclaimed April 2nd World Autism Awareness Day, and this has mushroomed into the entire month being designated Autism Awareness Month. Blue is a magical, calming color that fosters the ongoing global dialogue in all societies, not to isolate, but to integrate persons with autism spectrum disorder, ASD. Tonight, we are giving out two small emblems, symbolic pins of a ribbon and a heart that you can wear not only tonight, but during the month and beyond, to build the required social consciousness and sensitivity for those with ASD and their families. Additionally, my observations tonight would speak to the pragmatics of the United Nations 2017 theme, and I quote, "Toward autonomy and self-determination." Tonight's event represents a worldwide movement of holding hands under the umbrella of autism advocacy. I am pleased to state that this is our fourth Light It Up Blue ceremony at the Office of the President, with the hope that it will become a fixture for all successive presidents in the years to come. It feels good to know that the White House is following our example of 4 years by lighting up its compound, specifically the White House. And although we do not have a presidential house as yet, we are still lighting up. Our symbol is this beautiful tree you will see tonight. It would be remiss of me if I did not mention Autism Speaks and the co-founder of Autism Speaks, of me if I did not mention Autism Speaks and the co-founder of Autism Speaks, the great late Susan Wright, making a difference with his global outreach and impact. I do recall meeting Susan in 2013 at the First Lady's 6th Annual World Focus on Autism Conference in New York. Dr. Natalie Dick, one of our resident experts, and I have been going every year to that World Autism Forum, armed with our resilient spirit of autism advocacy. In April 2015, we presented a 16-page locally published supplement produced by the Office of the President in collaboration with our stakeholders to the conference. The international organization, Autism Speaks, was so impressed by the depth and reach of this locally produced autism supplement distributed throughout Trinidad and Tobago that they offered to have a comprehensive autism workshop in Trinidad and Tobago for parents and stakeholders free of charge. Also in April 2015, His Excellency and I went to the Bahamas, and through our personal encouragement, support and advice, the Honorable Prime Minister Perry Christie organized the Bahamas' first Light It Up Blue ceremony outside their parliament, where he emphasized that he was fully on board with tenets of autism advocacy by creating a massive infrastructural acreage to sustain persons with autism productively throughout their lives. I am not about waving flags here. It is my way of saying individually and collectively, institutionally and personally under that umbrella of autism advocacy, wherever we go, we can be dynamos of change and proactive influence, supporting each other in our just quest because it is needed, It is required. It is a must. There is often a misconception and a sense of ambivalence as to the purpose and object of a function like this. What are we hoping to achieve by doing this? Many often describe in error functions of this nature as celebrations, and this has been deemed insensitive by autism activists. We prefer that this event be seen as raising awareness for greater sensitivity and consideration from the public and for better access to treatment regardless of one's stations in life. Let's be honest. Every parent with a child with autism walks on a hard, long, emotionally sapping road. A parent with an autistic child literally struggles and endures every single day, and there is a growing worldwide concern that chronic depression is on the rise among parents and caregivers of children with autism. Parents are emotionally drowning, suffering from bouts of sleep deprivation, and a sometimes insensitive system of institutional governance. Hopelessness can and do creep into a psyche that wants to hope and persevere. Add to this an ignorant boss who refuses to be compassionate about the productivity levels in the workplace of a parent with an autistic child. The sheer intolerance that a working parent has to bear, late coming to work and absenteeism, are met with cynical derision and contempt by the employer. Yes, the same boss gets up on a platform and speaks of the good his company does through corporate social responsibility, CSR, for able-bodied citizens, indifferent to another type of corporate social responsibility to the working parent with the autistic child. In the world of autism and the differently abled, what is required? I am suggesting is worker social responsibility for the many parents of autistic children working in the trenches of the corporate, private, and public workplace. The parent with the autistic child needs a user-friendly employer who looks at options in the workplace. If we are to implement the 2017 United Nations Autism theme of autonomy and self-determination, doesn't the working parent with an autistic child need a user-friendly employer who will look at holistic options in the workplace? Employers cannot be occasion persons. They need to be informed and sensitized in a way to come on board to assist the working parent of the autistic child in real terms. In this age of technology, there are many work functions and responsibilities that can be completed successfully and timely at home. In this computer age, does everyone, including the parent with an autistic child, need to spend 6 unproductive hours going to and from work? My challenge to you tonight is that if you want to give credence to this evening's function, whether you are a public official, a corporate technocrat, or a private employer, call in your worker with the autistic child and say, let's work together. I will no longer isolate you because I want to help in practical terms. I will stop judging and start encouraging. Let us not talk problems, but rather create solutions. I am painfully aware of parents with autistic children losing their financial autonomy by being forced to leave their jobs to take care of the autistic child because of an insensitive boss who is simply ignorant, unaware, and indifferent of the tribulations endured by such a parent on a daily basis. Parents and caregivers, if you are struggling, say so. In most cases, we can only help the drowning swimmer when you hear his or her cry for help. The requisite authorities need to therefore address parental concerns that come with autism. I can tell you, it may not sometimes apply to able-bodied parents, But if you address the needs of a parent with an autistic child, the needs of that autistic child would be met. We can all be advocates in our daily lives, but once informed, the advocacy shifts from the man, woman, or child in the mirror to the man, woman, or child standing next to you. There is a benefit in informing everyone you meet about autism, your friends, family, and even strangers, because when something is misunderstood or persons are misinformed, it leads to warped perceptions and consequent insensitivity on those falling within the ADS spectrum. We must not view the sharing of information on autism as a frightening proposition. Sharing information on autism is enabling as it is empowering. It begins first with, my child is autistic. My friend is autistic. My classmate is autistic. And go on to explain what it is and how it manifests itself in the behavioral patterns of such a person, so that when we see an autistic child seemingly misbehaving in the mall, we will not be judgmental, but rather be empathetic and supportive. Knowledge is power. We therefore need to disseminate books in simple style and language to inform and educate our citizenry. Such is a book for adults and children by author Judy Welton titled, Can I Tell You About Asperger's Syndrome? It gives a child's perspective and can eradicate the misunderstanding that many have on autism. There is also a recent publication by Joy Valdez, We Live and Love Too. It features a collection of personal stories told from the perspective of people with autism and their families. Give such a book gift, and you will be giving the gift of knowledge, awareness, and sensitivity. Parents are very worried by what awaits the autistic child on the outside in the future. And if we are hoping for a warmer, understanding world for those with ASD, it begins with doing these small things that will and can have exceptional results. A better and more informed public on the characteristics of ASD will lead to a more compassionate and friendly public, and you, the parent, will not be fearful when your autistic young adult demands his or her God-given right of independence. Personal independence is the aspiration of the average man and woman, and it is no different with the autistic adult. We therefore need to create the appropriate social environment. The autistic person and his family are not looking for handouts, not looking for arms, and are not engaged in any dependency syndrome. They do not want lip service of support. Opportunity equality and genuine inclusivity are what they require, and more so what they rightfully demand. Social empowerment is what is needed to sustain the personal independence of the citizen with ASD. More jobs must be made available to autistic persons, and laws can be put in place, like the Bahamian law, the Persons with Disabilities Act, to provide for a percentage of one's working force to be differently abled persons. Regrettably, we now have to legislate basic tenets of humanity. Singapore, for example, has created an entrepreneurial model that works by the creation of an autism-focused school that has an artist development program where professional artists work with autistic children under the program to enhance and develop their talents. The students' products are merchandised in ways that benefit both the program and the students from the royalties earned. Similar programs can be set up in other areas of discipline, in information technology, computer programming, mathematical sciences, architecture, theoretical physics, and music. Such generated financial security emanating thereof can lead to the desired personal independence to the autistic citizen and a better and more sustainable and happier way of life. Tonight, we have a booth with paintings done by persons with ASD. There may be another potentially great indigenous artist, a Bosco Holder, a Carlyle Chang, or another Jean-Michel Cassabon waiting to be discovered. I urge you to go to the exhibit with a purpose, looking for the genius that lies within, waiting to explode and waiting to be discovered. The panacea that we seek are both social and clinical. I read recently this year that a new Center for Autism of Developing Brain was established at New York Presbyterian Hospital so that persons with autism will be taken care of and supported from birth to death. It is a model that our healthcare system can possibly consider and explore. Autism, as we all know, requires specialists, subspecialists, and multifaceted experts together with user-friendly facilities. We are running our committed doctors and experts to the ground given their sheer workload. We need to make available more scholarships for those wishing to specialize in areas, for example, of occupational therapy, speech therapy, and music therapy. We all know of the vital role speech specialists play in augmenting communication, which will invariably improve the quality of life lived by autistic citizens. Autism awareness continues to lag in the lower income brackets of society and rural communities, so the required services are not readily available as in the higher socioeconomic brackets, which benefit from earlier and better detection and intervention. We all know early and timely intervention is the key. This symbolic lighting of a tree is both an inherent and proactive part of our efforts to remind individuals that every time they see that blue tree, or think about it, or see the color blue, that ASD is an ongoing battle that must not and cannot be ignored or treated with indifference. In our presence here tonight, we have the designers, implementers, monitors, and evaluators of policies and programs in all political, economic, corporate, and social spheres. We are the measuring tapes that must ensure that inequality and a lack of opportunity are not perpetuated on persons living with autism spectrum disorder. There must therefore be a collaborative effort among all the stakeholders that will result in comprehensive awareness and sensitivity of the plight of autistic citizens and their families that would lead to greater expansion and innovation of research initiatives. Persons with autism and their families are in need of our patience, our love, our support, our guidance, and with time, the beauty of their talents and abilities will blossom and be revealed, much to the benefit of Trinidad, of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you.